Hey, it's Mike over at fishyourassoff.com, and today what we're covering are the three best lures to use to catch grouper. Well, to catch grouper inshore, not offshore. So the three best lures to catch grouper inshore in Florida. So let's go ahead and look at those. All right, what are the three best lures to catch inshore grouper? Number one, this is if you've seen any of these fishing classes, you probably realize you better have an invitation mullet in your tackle box. Either a diving, suspended, lipped, or a walk the dog style mullet, for depending on what you're fishing for, because it catches just about every predator there is. But in this case, you want a diving or a lipped mullet hard bait. You can use a plastic too, as long as you have enough weight on there to get it down. And just troll that. You know, a lot of people troll that those diving baits and those lip plugs like that over shallower water. And if as long as it's water, it has structure, and the grouper come up and do it. I've only done this one time and actually been successful, but I haven't tried it very often. I think I've only tried it once or twice. So this is a very good way to do it based on all the fish people seem to catch that way. But when it comes to me, I am typically fishing a lot skinnier water than they are with this. This is usually they're doing that. You know, the water might be up to 20, 25 feet deep, where I'm almost never fishing in water like that. I'm fishing in more of a creek situation, or find a shallow water rock pile, or finding some sort of debris field, or up by the mangroves on the flats. So when I'm out there fishing, you know, I'm using most of the time either spoons or a scented jig. And you know, if you've watched any of these, you know which ones I use. I use a light one. This is a Gulp scented 3-inch, you know, shrimp imitation. And I also will pick a dark one too. And if they're not biting the light ones, I'll go for the dark ones. This is a root beer color. And the way I fish them, almost always, is, say this is the side view of some sort of creek or river mouth right here. You know, they're not perfect. There's all these little stone crab holes and little divots and stuff like that in the side of these things. You know, the roots holding all the mud or whatever it is. And if you just drift with the current down these little creek mouths and jig, just vertical jigging, some sort of scented jig, you know, when it comes by this guy, that's a grouper in his little hole there, you're going to catch a grouper. You could do the same thing with a weedless spoon. I'm going to give these guys a plug. Who is it? Johnson Silver Minnow. I use these weedless spoons all the time. This is a silver one. I usually use the gold ones, but either or with grouper, they don't seem to care. They'll eat either one of those. And again, the same deal. I'm just kind of going with the flow, and I'm jigging up and down in the water column, trying to figure out where these grouper are holed up in that water column. And you're looking at this, that might only be, you know, 5-6 feet deep, this creek that I'm doing that in. And I just want to get as close to the edges as possible, because I'm trying to figure out where is there a little hole to hold a grouper. And you know, usually it's little groupers like 20 inches or less, but you never know these days, because the Goliath grouper's been protected so long. There are some absolute monsters inshore now, Goliath grouper. You know, everyone thinks that they're going to be out on some wreck or reef offshore, but there are monster Goliath groupers in the intercoastal waterway and a lot of these bays and inlets and such these days. So here's where you're looking for them. You want some structure, because they're not happy unless they're backed into a hole or something like that. That's when a grouper feels very protected. So here's like a mangrove creek or river, you know, situation, and you would just go with the flow with that, fishing, vertical jigging. Find some sort of debris pile, and there's probably going to be a grouper near that. Again, they want to have some place to hole up, so there's probably a hole or something underneath this log that they've dug out, and they're going to be underneath that log waiting for something to come by. So again, you want to come with the current because they're always going to be facing into the current, and and that's how you're going to catch them. And all of these will work. You just got to get it near them. Grouper are very, very aggressive fish. So if you can get that within his little strike zone there, you're probably going to catch him. Whatever it is you get to him. Could be any of these. And if you get that in front of that grouper's face, he's probably going to eat it. And another one is some sort of rock pile or reef. I forgot to draw my fish, but so you'd have a fish here, and he's got a little hole he can go swim down if he needs to, but he's going to be hanging out right above this rock pile. So he's going to be facing the current. So if you just bring the bait in front of his face with the current, you're probably going to be catching yourself a grouper. Most of the groupers I catch are Goliath or gag groupers, but a lot of fish that are real big offshore, well, they started inshore. So the inshore, the grass flats, intercoastal waterways, all these bays and inlets are nurseries for a lot of these fish. So they go up in there so they're protected until they get big enough to go out with the big dogs somewhere offshore or some reef or whatever it is where they can compete. But grouper are real fun to catch. The key to grouper is as soon as you get it, reel as hard as you can, because they're by their hole and they're going to grab that bait and they're going to run right back in their hole, and you got to get them out of that hole, and they're usually wedged in there pretty well. So it's hard to get them out. Not the small ones, but the bigger ones, it's real hard to get them out. But that's how I catch grouper inshore. People usually think offshore when they're grouper. There are tons of grouper inshore. By a bridge, docks, anything that's got nice big holes for them, places for them to hide, along seawalls, along inlets. There are tons of grouper inshore. But the best way I've found to catch them, besides live bait, is some sort of vertical jigging with the current. So next time you're out and you want to target them, that's probably the best way to do it, in my opinion. Okay, well, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. You can find all this information on our website. It's www.fishyourassoff.com. We have a what-to section, a where-to section, a how-to section. We have instructional videos for knot tying, catching these fish, the whole 9 yards. The website is basically a website full of simple tips to help Florida fishermen catch more fish. But until I see you again, I guess that's about it for today. So have a good one. I hope you learned something. Bye-bye.